Welcome to the Rocky and Meisty Show presented by Jew Stool. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Let's get right into it.
You're completely missing the boat, Amr. You're at the wrong dock.
I'd have to say this. If he's looking to go to a new team, the last thing he wants to do is be like, oh, I'm not. No, he's got to show up. And he's got to show the Browns, you just lost $250 million by not playing, by not giving me that money. You're going to give it to him? Go for it.
This is crazy. Tyreek killed one of the Dolphins for 5 hits. Second to division. Should we end the podcast now? I bet breaking news. Should we end it now? Now or later? Which one?
I walk out right now. Division. Hear it first. Hear it first.
That's asinine. You're crazy.
He's got the full package.
No way. I don't care. No way. I can't even. It's hard to even look at you right now when you say something like that. That's crazy.
We want to talk about legacy-defining plays. And legacy-defining throws. 13 seconds, and you get the ball in field goal range. That is absolutely insane.
I'm going to be frank with you guys. Mitch Trubisky is not a good NFL quarterback. He has never been.
Okay. And guess what? In basketball, you use the basketball. In football, you use the football.
Welcome, everyone, to the podcast. A little unprecedented, obviously, with the events that went down a couple nights ago in Cincinnati. Obviously, our thoughts and prayers are with Damar and his family, and we hope for a speedy recovery soon. But obviously, we're here to talk some football. Life goes on. And, we have a big slate of games Week 18. As of now, the NFL has not postponed any games in Week 18. As of now, we have the games as they were scheduled in the beginning of the season. In fact, we have 2 Saturday games as well, right? We got the Chiefs Raiders in the early afternoon, and then we got at night we got the Titans Jags. With that being said, let's get into it, Meisty. Now, one thing I was intrigued about was which game they were going to put Sunday Night Football. Now, we went back and forth on this, right? At first, we were like, well, Titans Jags is going to be Sunday Night Football, obviously. But they put that Saturday night, which was an interesting decision. And then we're like, well, they would put Lions Packers, but it's not necessarily a win-and-in situation, depending on what happens with the Seahawks, Meisty. So I like the decision to put Lions Packers Sunday night. Love it. Even if the Lions don't have anything to play for, you know it's going to be exciting. Jared Goff and the Lions have been must-see football, must-see TV the entire year. Aaron Rodgers, playoff berth on the line, will be exciting regardless. And best comes to best, I should say, it'll be for a playoff spot, win or in. So I think it was a good decision, Meisty. What are your thoughts on that?
I was really looking forward to the Titans-Jaguars game on Sunday night because technically the Lions could be playing for nothing come Sunday night if the Seahawks win. So I don't know. I think that was like it's a good option, but there are better options out there.
What do you think should have been Sunday night instead? I think that was the second best after Titans-Jags.
I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, you can like even if you put like Jets Dolphins just got eliminated, right? So
the Jets Dolphins, if the Patriots win, that game is meaningless.
Also, I guess you're right.
Bills Patriots would have been interesting.
I guess it's but right. I guess so. Yeah, I guess that could have been the other game. But first of all, it was because we don't have that Bills game. It's a little difficult.
But they scheduled this before the Monday night game, before they knew the Bills game was going to be canceled.
They scheduled it after. They wanted to announce it during.
No, they scheduled the whole Sunday night schedule like 12 or 1 o'clock on Monday. At least it was Pacific time. It was before the Monday night game, but the only game that was sort of flexible was the Ravens-Bengals game. They said if the game was for the AFC North, they would make it 4:25. If the game wasn't for the AFC North, they'd make it 1 o'clock. And as of now, since technically it's not for the AFC North, because if the Bengals-Bills game never happens, then the Bengals have locked up the AFC North already, so that game will probably be at 1 o'clock. Okay. So let's start right there. Let's start right there with the Ravens-Bengals. This is an interesting game. I was sort of thinking like if the Bengals lost last week, Meisty, then and the Chiefs won on Saturday, then the Bengals would have nothing to play for, really. They're really locked in. I mean, it's really a 2-3 seed, but they would have no bye to play for, no AFC North to play for. So I was thinking they might bench Burrow halfway through the game or something, maybe give him a few drives, but now they're going to be playing. I think. I mean, I don't know what they're going to be doing at this point because if they never resume that game against the Bills, then they won't have a chance at a bye, right? They only had a chance at a bye if they beat the Bills. But if that game never happens, they don't have a chance at the bye. They have a chance at the 2 seed or 3 seed. Are they going to risk Burrow injury for that? I don't know. It's a tricky situation here. So I don't really know what to expect. I think the Bengals are favored by 7. So I'm still going to go with the Bengals here. I think they will play the starters and they'll go full force. Being that it's a question mark as to what will happen with that other game against the Bills. Technically, the bye is still on the line. Technically, they could still get the number 1 seed, home field advantage throughout the playoffs. I'm going to go with the Bengals here, Meisty.
I agree with you on taking the Bengals, but I if I at this point in the season, you just play Joe Burrow. Like, unless you're like locked into a seed, you want the highest seed possible, even if there is a difference between the 2 and the 3 seed at the end of the day, because of if it comes down to the 2-3 seed, that's a home. That could be a home game.
Like the Patriots or the Chargers, which is a huge difference, right? Or the Ravens.
Even you can get a home game come down to the AFC Championship or the championship game. You could be at home, technically. So being the 2 seed or the 3 seed. So, but yeah, I would be shocked if things were regular that the Bengals would have sat him. I do like the Bengals to win here, as if Lamar doesn't plan to play. And so I think that, yes, I think the Bengals win. I think that there's big game. It's the big moment for them. I think a lot of eyes will be on them. So I also take the Bengals, which hurts. It hurt. I think it's my first time predicting a Ravens loss, and it hurt.
Yeah, well, this one is not such a meaningful game for the Ravens at this point, but it will pretty much matter if the Chargers, and we'll get into, of course, some playoff scenarios, but one scenario is the Ravens get the 5 seed if they win and the Chargers lose. So that's what it will matter. But if the Chargers win, the Ravens are staying right there where they are anyway. So it could not be a meaningful game for the Ravens. Morty, who you got for this one?
For the Ravens, I'll go with the Ravens here. They like to clutch it up at the end. Why not?
No, they don't.
Yeah,
There's
literally no. I'm trying here.
All right, let's move on. Do you want me to continue the games, Morty?
Yeah, you can take this one. I'll chime in as needed.
Okay, awesome. We got Bucks at Falcons. Bucks were very close, Meisty. This close to making it very interesting heading into Week 18, Meisty. I think a lot of football fans are like, this is like let's see the Panthers win. Now you have 3 of the 4 teams with 6 wins in the last week of the season have a chance to win this division. The Saints would have technically had a chance, right? So obviously that would have been very entertaining. Nonetheless, the Bucks have locked it up. The Saints and Panthers and Falcons are all eliminated. There'll be no starters in this game, Meisty. That's why Week 18 predicting is a little weird because of that, right? You have a lot of teams benching. Who do you got here?
I was really hoping for this type of week where we really could have had one of the craziest weeks of football in the Week 18 showdowns here. But I take the Bucks. I think that they just do their thing, get it done with, call it a day, go home, go to the playoffs.
I'm going to go with the Falcons. The Falcons have played. Ritter played a little better last week. The Bucs offense has not been looking particularly great. They showed a spark last week. Tom Brady and Mike Evans came alive in the second half, right? That's what it was. Tom Brady can still throw the ball down the field. Don't make no mistakes about that. It's just the offense has been out of sync for most of the season. But especially with a backup quarterback in there, I can't imagine they'll play Brady because they're locked into that seat. So I'll go with the Falcons. Falcons are probably going to play their starters. Ritter getting a little better, trying to progress a little in his career. I'm going with the Falcons here. That's what I got.
Yeah, I'm gonna flop that one real quick because if Brady doesn't play, if I'm the Buccaneers, I play Brady. Like, you have to super protect him and make sure he doesn't get hurt, but like let him go out there and sling the ball a few times, But yeah, I'd say that he's not gonna play the majority of the game, maybe just to see what their other options are. But all right.
This says that Tom Brady will start for the Bucs on Sunday, but he will start. So, like you said, we don't know how long he's gonna play. It just says he's gonna.
Well, he won't be there long.
Right, that's what it is. Who you got, Morty?
I'll go with the Falcons here. Like you said, Bucks aren't really. They're not gonna try that hard. And if the Falcons put up a fight, then they're happy going down.
Taken out of context, this would look quite funny. Falcons sweep across the board against the Bucks last week of the season. But yeah, when you put into account the context, it makes a lot of sense. Now we got the other sort of question mark game, the Patriots at Bills. Being that the Bills also, the Bills before the Monday night game controlled their own destiny to get the bye, Meisty. But now they need to rely on the Chiefs losing to the Raiders. Stidham and the Raiders. By the way, Jared Stidham, what a performance last week. Him and Brock Purdy was must-see TV. That was absolutely unbelievable. But can you expect that 2 straight weeks? We saw P.J. Walker throw 5 ridiculous touchdown passes against the Bucs earlier this year, and the Panthers dominated the Bucs. So, guys, these veteran quarterbacks, Meisty, I feel like they randomly come and have like these ridiculous games. So I'm not banking on it 2 straight weeks. I am gonna go with the whatchamacallit. I'm gonna go with the Bills. I'm gonna go with the Bills because again, they still have a chance at the bye, so they're going to have to start the starters, right? Technically, if the Chiefs lose, even though they'll know if they have a chance at the bye, but being that they don't know what's going to happen with that Monday night game, they'll have a chance at the bye even if the Chiefs win, right? So being that they technically still have a chance at the bye, you can't slip up that opportunity in the AFC. To be able to skip a playoff game in the AFC, any opportunity you can get, they will do it, especially going against Belichick and a chance to knock the Patriots out of the playoffs. This is a great opportunity, so I'm going with the Bills.
I mean, there's a lot obviously going on. The NFL hasn't fully announced the Buffalo Patriots situation. We don't really know what the plan is, but I don't see Buffalo losing this game. Like it, not even just pure. It's in Buffalo, too much on the line. It's a big moment for them to beat the Patriots. Maybe even send Bill Belichick's career to retirement.
You're saying it.
I said it. I'm gonna say it. Yeah, because you know what the truth is. Yeah, listen, the conversation has to be had, right? Like if he misses the playoffs, like all right, Bill, you missed the playoffs. Now, like your team's real. You've turned that franchise into like the worst possible situation now, and you left your son in charge. So,
Mac Jones. I don't think Mac Jones has been particularly good this year, by the way.
I don't think that they've treated him with the good offensive coordinator this year.
No, I don't think the offense is great. Kennedy, everyone's complaining about him, of course, but I don't think Patricia. I'm sorry, but I don't think everyone's. I don't think they've necessarily surrounded him with playmakers and a great offense, but he hasn't been throwing the ball well. I mean, he's had 2 good games this year against the Vikings, against the Ravens, where he made like 3 or 4 big throws. Other than that, putting the ball in harm's way, not making good decisions with the football. It could be a sophomore slump. I'm not saying he's not going to have a good career, but I haven't been impressed with him this year. Irregardless of the situation around him, is all I'm saying. That's it. So they'll give him 1 more year, see how he does, and if he doesn't do well, they'll move on, Meisty. I mean, this is not necessarily a patient franchise. This is the New England Patriots.
Yeah. Well, yes, no, but I don't think they even they just don't have a plan. They just went from being the dynasty of sports to to struggling. So
as expected when you lose a quarterback like Tom Brady. That's really just to be expected. Morty, what you got over here for the Bills Patriots, assuming the game happens as scheduled and all that?
I would say Bills for all the reasons you said. It's a must-win to get that bye. They got to do everything they can.
Yeah, agreed. Vikings at Bears is sort of something to play for. The Vikings can't get the bye anymore because they lost to they got shellacked by the Packers last week, Meisty. That was remarkable, right? I did pick the Packers to win last week. I sort of... Someone was doing... I know your prediction, Meisty, obviously came to fruition before the season. You said the Vikings would win the division. Not only did they win the division, they won the division with like a month and a half left of the season. It was like ridiculous. But at the same time, if you looked at the score last week, you'd be like, who won the division again? Right? You'd be like, okay. That team is 4 games ahead of that team, and that team outplayed them in every facet. The Packers do seem to be getting together. We'll get to them in a second, of course, but this game sort of means something for the Vikings. They can probably get the 2 seed, I believe, if the Niners lose and everything else works out. Cowboys lose, maybe, whatever the scenario is. I believe the Vikings let's maybe speak out the scenario for a second. So I think the Vikings, if they win and the Cowboys and Niners lose, no, not the Cowboys. They're a game better than the Cowboys, right? If they win and the Niners lose, they get the 2 seed. That's all it is. I believe.
Wow.
They can't get the 1 seed. They can't get the 1 seed.
Right. They cannot get the 1 seed. They get the 2 seed.
If everyone basically, if the Vikings win and then the Niners and Cowboys lose, the Eagles keep the 1 seed because they have the tiebreaker, the Vikings.
Correct.
So the Eagles clinch the 1 seed either with a win or a Niners and Cowboys loss. Anyway, I'm going with the Vikings here.
I will say this. It was a nice prediction. I had it before the season, I must say, but I wasn't so ecstatic about it because I was really hoping in my prediction that it would come down to last week really for the division. A week 17 matchup between them. Winner gets division. Pending week 18 results, but that could have been a big game, and that's where I thought maybe the Vikings would go into Green Bay, beat them, win the division, and I'd be like, Rocky, I told you so. But having to tell you like, oh, the Packers stink this year, like was not. Now all of a sudden the Packers came alive, and that's great. And I've been riding the Rodgers train these last couple of weeks, and I'm enjoying this. I enjoy watching the Brady, because I am guilty of it. I trash talk these older quarterbacks in the league, the Bradys and the Rodgers. And I was like, these guys don't have it anymore. They're done. Get them out of here. Get these pocket passers who can't scramble out of the league. Let's move on. We have the Justin Herberts. No, all these guys, the Tua's out, Jets out, all these guys, all these teams out. The bottom line is we're back to Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, NFC Championship game, round 7 or whatever it is.
It's remarkable how Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady, regardless of the years that their teams have both put themselves in the position to make the playoffs this year. Like, if you would have told me a month and a half ago, I mean, the Bucs sort of had the division lead the entire year. They've been playing awful the entire season. The fact that they are both in the playoffs this year just shows that somehow, some way, they just do it. They just make it there. They make it happen. I mean, Rodgers still has to win his one more game, but I mean, it's just.
It shows you the big difference between the greats and the goods and the and the bad. But these are the greats. You talk about the greats. They find ways to make it happen. They don't care who's the receivers. Aaron Rodgers at the beginning of the year was like, I don't have receivers. Then he's like, you know what? I got to do it with whatever I got. And even when his number one Christian Watson was going out and got hurt, he figured out ways to do it without him. So. I credit that. I credit Rodgers, and I'm excited for that. The NFC playoffs picture has gotten very exciting. But here I will go with the Vikings because Nathan Peterman is starting for the Bears, and yeah.
Let me throw something at you, Meisty. The Vikings should bench their starters because they are better off staying at number 3 than getting number 2.
Yeah,
if they stay number 3, they play the Giants. If they get to number 2, then they have to play either the Packers or the Lions, most likely. And they don't want to play either of those teams.
Right.
Either of those teams can beat the Vikings.
Right. Rocky, the Vikings this week can start me, you, and Morty. And Nathan Peterman is starting for the Bears. So I think that they literally could put me back there and playing cornerback. It's Nathan Peterman, man. This Nathan Peterman guy.
They should start like the tight end at quarterback because they don't want to win this game. They don't want to win this game. They should lose this game. Why are you winning for the right to play the Packers, who just kicked your you-know-whats?
Rocky, the Bears don't want to win either.
That's fair. That's fair.
That's why they're starting Nathan Peterman. They're putting in Nathan Peterman like, this is the best chance for us to lose. The Vikings like, we want to lose. We're going to start Rocky and Meisty show. This is where
they should put us under center just that we'd probably get killed, to be honest. But
anyway. Can we please have this week's logo picture? Us versus Nathan Peterman. Thank you.
Rocky and Meisty show team versus Nathan Peterman.
I'm on it.
Good stuff. Who you got, Morty? Vikings, Bears.
Vikings. Yeah. The only chance they had was Justin Fields in any game, and take that away, they got nothing.
Completely agreed. Chargers Broncos is a game that matters for the Chargers. The Chargers need a win to clinch the 5th seed and the right to play either the Jaguars or the Titans, pending what happens there. And if they lose, then they give the Ravens sort of a paved way to get that 5th seed. So Chargers Broncos. Chargers have been playing much better as of late, starting to get some players back from injury. Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, when they're on the field consistently, Meisty, they are a tough team to beat. And Justin Herbert's been playing well all year. It's just been a matter of injuries at critical positions. They still don't have J.C. Jackson for the year. But at the end of the day, offensive line getting a little better throughout the season, playmakers, Eckler getting better. It's been coming together a little there in L.A., and I'm going with the Chargers to clinch the 5th seed this week.
Yeah, the Chargers, like you said, when all together, are so good. They're but listen. I reminded myself last year to remind myself this year that in the playoffs we don't bet on the Chargers, okay? Because
they made it though. They made it,
but they got there. They did get there in a division that they should have been way more difficult. They got there. Yep. In a crazy division. It's crazy because you could in that division, these two games right now, the Chargers, you could have had a double game in our predictions going into the season, right? You could have had this week you could have Raiders and Chiefs going for like 1 seed and out of the playoffs. You could have had like the Broncos and Chargers playing the same exact scenario. Whoever wins here goes there, it's insane yeah. Excuse me. I don't see the Chargers losing this game to the Broncos. This is a Justin Herbert moment to just win, get in, get your seed, go play Jacksonville next week or whoever you play next week, and go from there.
Yeah. And by the way, I apologize for not going in order. I have the schedule from the beginning of the season, so they didn't schedule the times yet. So I know that there's Saturday games and there's 1:00 games and 4:25 games and Sunday night games. So I'm not going in the order of time here, but I apologize for that. But anyway, Morty, who you got for Chargers Broncos?
Chargers all day. Russell Wilson is done with the cooking. He's retired.
Well, he's not even-
Put the grill away for the winter.
Love it. Colts Texans. This is why Week 18 is a little tough. You know, you're
This might be my favorite game of the week.
I was literally gonna say I was waiting for my turn to talk so I can say that.
Go ahead, Meisty. You got the floor.
No, I was hoping that Indianapolis would have lost one more game because then we could have had a battle for the 1 seed, and that would have been like a battle for the 1 seed in Week 18 to me is the ultimate game. Like when two teams are really because you have a whole thing about not tanking, but you'd literally have you'd literally have a tank moment going on. It'd be so great. It'd be 100 pick six. It'd be great. I mean, not even pick sixes. It'd just be like nothing. It'd just be 0-0 tie. It's not. I don't even know. But I think Houston wins this game. Houston has been playing really good football lately. They have the number 1 seed locked up. The Colts have been stinking lately. Ever since that Vikings halftime game, they've sucked.
Do they have it locked up? The Bears are.
Yeah, because they're 2-13-1. There's no other 2-team win.
The Bears are 3-13. So if they win, they'll be 3-13-1. The Bears are 3-13. I think the Bears have a chance.
Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago's got a chance.
But the Houston's 2-13-1. So who would get the 1 seed?
If Houston wins, they'll be 3-13-1. If Chicago loses, they'll be 3-14. Houston would have the better winning percentage in that case.
So Chicago would get the 1 seed.
Yeah.
Chicago really put Nathan Peterman out there.
That's why I'm going with the Colts here, because I think the Texans are going to do everything in their power to not win this game and get Bryce Young in the draft coming up in April. So give me the Colts.
Because the most Texans thing possible. First of all, they get Bryce Young either way. They're not drafting him. What's his name? They're not. They have Justin Fields, so they're not drafting him.
Valid. Right, true.
Regardless, so they get their guy either way, unless the Bears trade the pick. But that would be nuts.
That rarely happens.
Right? Yeah, crazy unless they trade to the 3rd pick. So whatever.
Right.
But either, and that's the Colts. So they're not giving anyone in their division Bryce Young. So, but well, it's not division, but whatever. Either way, point was that the Texans. I still think that the Vikings will take care of business against the Bears. The Texans can go and win their game here and just go off on a good note and get, like you said, get their guy, get it going, get next season underway. Texans have so many picks coming their way. Like they're in the state remember when Cleveland had like 2 top 5 picks. That was the time when Cleveland had their moment to like really get something going there. This is where we're holding for the Texans.
Potential Lamar Jackson landing spot. Houston. I have picks to trade it. They got the money to sign him. This is not my call, by the way. It's not my call. Tully brought this up with me. What?
I know off camera, throughout, we've always discussed possible Lamar landing spots.
It's not something you could say on air, like Lamar's might get traded, but we're seeing it.
Off-air conversation of if the Ravens were to trade him, where's the landing spot? And definitely the Texans, dude. Texans are a team. Texans are definitely a team that need a guy. And sometimes a team like the Texans might want a Lamar Jackson over a Bryce Young, even if they have to pay him, because Lamar has proven himself to be capable of being an NFL quarterback. Where a guy like Bryce Young, he could be Nathan Peterman. So, but the truth is though, if you're the Texans, okay, and you're giving up the number 1 pick, first of all, the Ravens never trade for that stuff. They never do. Okay, and if you're the Ravens trading away Lamar Jackson, you're not going to get much if you're just getting the number 1 overall pick. Because, you're getting Bryce Young. That's the obvious, how much more are you really? What's the value for giving up? Would you rather? My question is, would you rather get, 5 later first-round picks with some second-round picks and whatever, or the number 1 overall pick?
So, right, I hear what you're saying. if you really, I mean, we won't go into this too much in detail now, but there are other teams they can trade it to. For example, they can trade it to the Lions, who have a high pick from the Broncos, from the Rams for the Matthew Stafford trade, which has a fifth or sixth, and they get Stroud from Ohio State. So they can go that route, and then they'll get another second round pick or first round pick if it's only the sixth overall as opposed to the first overall. So there are other routes you can take, obviously, but that
to draft Marvin Harrison Jr. when the time comes.
that too. I mean, there's a lot of different options here, which we'll have to discuss throughout the offseason, obviously, because that Lamar Jackson situation is interesting. It's intriguing. It was intriguing last offseason. It's even more intriguing this offseason as he misses a bunch of games here down the stretch. Morty, who you got for your favorite game of the week?
It's a tough one. Don't get me wrong. I'll probably have to go Texans here. I mean, what's the spread in this game?
Probably.
Not even look at the spread.
It's probably a pick 'em, honestly. Here, NFL odds. Yeah, plus -2.5 to the Colts. That's literally what you get for being a home team. 2.5 points for being a home team these days. Right? That was the number we said. You get 2.5.
2.5. Yeah, is that what you get for now? Yeah, they keep on changing it though.
Yeah, they went now. You said they don't get the 3.5. You get 2.5 now for being home team.
Right, so you're right. It's a pick 'em theoretically in the Colts now.
Yeah. Pick 'em, and it's 2.5.
Okay, Jets, Dolphins. Let's move on. The line here is actually Jets by 1. Jets favored. Dolphins, very disappointed in them, I see. I mean, we knew the potential that they had throughout the course of the season. When Tua was in there, they were like at first stretch, they were like 7-0 with Tua, 0-3 with Teddy, and whatever. They were just having a very streaky football team. But now they've gone on another losing streak with Tua. Tua's not playing particularly well. One of the most accurate quarterbacks in football throughout the first 10, 12 weeks of the season. And over the last month or so, hasn't been playing well. Putting the ball in harm's way, not finding his receivers when he should. Sort of still has Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill able to make plays, do damage after the run. So, do damage after the catch, run the ball after the catch. So, therefore, they've still been able to make some plays, move the ball down the field, but not enough to get these victories, Meisty. And they find themselves in a position where they need some help in the last week of the season, and they did not want to be in that position. I mean, just a few weeks ago, we thought the Dolphins were a shoo-in for the playoffs. Now, it's not looking great for them. First of all, they got to beat the Jets, a feisty Jets team, a very tough defense. Granted, not great at that quarterback position, not looking great, but they got to be a Jets team, and they got to rely on the Patriots to lose. Even though they're playing the Bills, they still got to rely on that. So I'm still going to go with the Finns here. I don't trust the Jets. I don't trust Wilson or Mike White, although he showed sparks this year. So I think the Dolphins will somehow pull together and make the playoffs this year because the Bills will defeat the Patriots, but I'm concerned about them. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Do you know who the Dolphins plan to start this week against the Jets? They plan to start Mike Glennon. That's the plan to start. Teddy Bridgewater. Mike Glennon, they signed him today. Teddy Bridgewater broke his finger or something, and it's most likely out this week.
What about Tua?
Tua's out. Tua's concussed. He's been concussed. He's been out the last couple weeks with concussion. Last 2 weeks now with concussion.
Yeah. Or what about Skylar Thompson?
I think they rather Mike Glennon than Skylar Thompson.
No, because Skylar Thompson's been there the whole week. He knows the game. They're going to probably start him.
I assume that Skylar Thompson's going to get the start, and then Glennon will back him up. But
Bridgewater is for sure out?
Yeah, most likely. I think it's like almost like there's like a 99% chance that he's out. Or whatever.
I'm still going with the Dolphins.
I'm going to argue on this because I think that the Jets, first of all, they don't mind playing in Miami. It's nice weather. So I think that the Jets will show. No, it matters. It's when you're in nice weather. It's very easy to play defense in nice weather. It's a different game. So I think the Jets defense will show up. So I don't think Miami is going to put the ball down the field and score unless they have a big play, which they're very capable of doing. But they'll need multiple of them, and hopefully Mike White can move the ball against this crappy Miami defense.
So we're going with the Jets. It's not that bad.
Well, it hasn't been pretty lately.
I mean, nothing about the Dolphins has been pretty lately. But Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill any given week. That's the problem, especially in a must-win game. I mean, the offense is not very difficult for Tua. Why do you think he was so accurate? They made it so simple for him. They dumbed it down for him. Get the ball to these guys. Let them do the rest.
Okay, actually, let's just keep it. We'll talk about this after. Let's keep it going. We'll put this last on the agenda.
Yeah, but I'm going with the Dolphins. You're going with the Jets. Morty, who you got?
I'll go with Jets.
You guys are all setting up a potential Steelers win and in situation. So Steelers fans are happy. So we got the Steelers hosting the Browns this week, and the Steelers like miraculously. You know what's remarkable, Meisty? The Steelers were 2-7, and we're 2-7, 2-6, 2-7, and we're sitting here like, finally, Mike Tomlin's gonna have a losing season for the first time in his 16-year career. The man always makes magic happen, never has losing seasons. This year, it's a shoo-in, 2-7. I mean, they have to like win almost every single game for the rest of the year. Well, guess what? They have won almost every single game since then, except for the Ravens game that they lost by 2 points, which was just a weird game. Except for that, they have won every single game since that point and are now set up to win and have a winning record and potentially make the playoffs if they get some help. So Mike Tomlin, like I said before the season, Meisty, I said this before the season, I said potential coach of the year candidate because he will have that team playing hard no matter what happens. That's the Steelers for you. They might surprisingly have a winning record and nobody's going to see it coming. Now, I didn't necessarily predict that, but I do think Mike Tomlin always has his team playing hard. Kenny Pickett, what's been the difference? The first few games it was making the late game turnovers, making those late game mistakes. Now it's been decent throughout the game. He's still not making too many big plays, sort of. He's fine on the short to intermediate stuff, not making too many big throws down the field, but late in the game, he's making enough plays, driving down the field, and giving go-ahead scores, and that's been the difference here. And Pickett's been getting a little better every day. Your man George Pickens just continues to show how big of a stud he is. That connection looks great. I'm going with the Steelers here to potentially. I still think the Dolphins are going to win and make the playoffs, but Steelers got a chance here. I don't think they're going to pull out the game against the Browns. Not an easy game, by the way, by any stretch. Browns are feisty, but I think the Steelers will win.
So I once again agree with you. Steelers win. I was just thinking about it when I was looking, because I'm sitting here on the playoff machine going through it, and I'm like, what happens though if Bill Belichick wins? And
Then they make it.
It'd be so great. But like that would be like the ultimate, like as a Ravens fan, like the bet. I think that could be the greatest feeling in history. Like
why? Who cares if the Steelers make it? Let it make it. Kenny Pickett's a cool story. They'll lose to the Bills in the first round. Who cares?
You make a good point. You're making good points. You're making a worse draft pick. You're making good points. I like it.
Let him dump another year. Last year, they had no business in the playoffs. They made it, and they got killed to the Chiefs, okay? And like you said, they lost like 10 spots in the draft. This year, the same thing will happen, and they'll lose to the Bills or something like that, and they'll lose 10 spots in the draft. Like, let them do it. Who the heck cares? If they're stubborn enough. I mean, Tomlin's got that winning mentality, and it's impressive what he's doing with this team. But at the end of the day, it doesn't make a difference if they make a playoffs. Let's be honest with ourselves here.
No, but there's a bright future in Pittsburgh.
Sure. I'm not saying there isn't. I'm just saying it's not the Steelers here.
Yeah, but that's kind of crazy that they immediately went from the Big Ben era to like because look at like the Patriots, who are also but they are struggling a little bit more. But the Steelers really went from the Big Ben era, and they're like, you know what, we're not gonna just settle and try to like rebuild. They've been just going for it. The Steelers are a go-get-it team.
If you didn't see our Steelers podcast prior to the season, check it out. That was one of our in-person podcasts where we talked about the Steelers quarterback situation at length. And pretty much I prefaced the podcast by saying no matter what the Steelers do, we know they will be competitive very soon. Because even if it's not this year, which I did not think they would make the playoffs this year, but even if I predicted them to have 7 wins. But we knew they'd be competitive because that's the franchise that they are. They're going to find someone that's solid under center. They're going to build a good receiving core around him. They're going to build a decent defense, already having some pieces like Minka and TJ Watt in there. At the end of the day, we knew that a rebuild would not be a slow process in Pittsburgh. Not to say that they'll be a Super Bowl contender next year, but they're already looking like a playoff contender. So obviously, I agree with you. I agree with you in that sense. I mean, it's impressive to see what they've done, but at the same time, what's making the playoffs going to do for them? They should try to make the playoffs, of course. It's cool, but like.
Of course. You have to try to make the playoffs. That's the goal.
But like, bright future there in Pittsburgh. Who you got, Morty? Browns.
Pittsburgh.
Well, so you guys get the Steelers making the playoffs.
We do.
Lamelo.
You guys get the Steelers making the playoffs. What's our last 1 o'clock game here? We got the Panthers Saints. I think that's the last 1 o'clock game. Panthers Saints, which is in itself a meaningless game. And it would have been a very compelling game, Meisty. So let's just run this by you for a second. If the Panthers won last week, it would have been a very simple scenario. Panthers win and in. Saints win, they need a Bucs lose to be in. A Bucs loss to be in. So this would have been a huge game if the Panthers just somehow prevented a couple of those big Mike Evans receptions, touchdowns last week. This would have been a huge game. Nonetheless, here it is. They're fighting for for a draft spot. And a funny phenomenon in this game is that last week both these teams were fighting for their playoff lives. This year both these teams are like fighting for top 10 picks in the draft. That's how crazy this draft
I
was.
literally just saw that. I'm like, so I literally put my hands in my head. I'm like, what the? How did that happen?
Right, it shifted like that. Going with the Panthers, loving what Darnold's been doing here throughout the stretch run of the season. I think they're going to keep him for next year and see what they got him, because there's been some sort of a resurgence here the last few weeks, Meisty. And the Sam Darnold reclamation project has been attempted and failed many times. Finally, it's starting to succeed. We're starting to see it bear some fruit. I think the Panthers are going to try to stick with that. Doesn't mean they're not going to draft a quarterback, but I do think that they're going to try to continue to see what they have in Darnold, ride with him, and have a different plan as well. So I'm going with the Panthers here, liking where they're going towards the end of the season here.
Sam Darnold has been running the ball more. I don't know if that's been helping him or not, but he's definitely, his rushing attempts have gone up. But I will say this though, I don't know if you go into next year though, and I don't think they're gonna have DJ Moore next year. So you're ready to have a downgrade unless you bring someone in. Devontae Adams to the Panthers. Is that what I'm hearing? Anyway,
They're going to trade Adams and Carr? No.
I don't think they have much choice.
Really?
I think it's a package.
No, man, I can't buy it.
Can you imagine if they traded like Carr and thing to the Texans for like the first pick this year and next year and everything?
You know what would be the craziest thing about that? Like, meanwhile, the Raiders are sitting here in the beginning of the year like, we can actually contend even in a good division. And and 3 months later, they're like, now let's just rebuild. Trade away Carr, trade away Adams.
If I have told you that 3 AFC North teams were going to make the playoffs, you would have told me I'm nuts.
Oh, absolutely. I would have told you about it.
Fine. 2 you can hear. Ravens.
The third one I would have thought was the Browns.
Right.
With Deshaun Watson the whole year.
Correct. Correct. And I was like, you could have Cincy Pittsburgh or Pittsburgh or Cincy someone. And like, no, Cincy Steelers Ravens. We're back to it. Back to good old times. Good. But anyway, back to this game.
Wait. If I would have told you that the Packers and Lions would be playing in Week 18 and it's a meaningful game for both of them, you also thought I was nuts. But anyway, go on.
If I told you that the Packers had to beat the Lions in Week 18 to make the playoffs, you would be like, what?
The Lions, when they could potentially make the playoffs. Mind blowing. And the Jaguars and Titans are playing for the division right now? I mean, this has been a crazy season. You know how many, if I were to tell you before the season, that would look absolutely nuts. But now they're coming to fruition.
Yeah. So I think that the Panthers here, though, I know that Sam Darnold's been looking very good, but I think that the Saints are stupid enough to try to win this game. And the Saints just don't know what they're doing out there. They really don't, dude. They really don't. They beat the Eagles somehow last week, but like they're really out there just trying to win football games, and they shouldn't be, because they like the Saints were in a perfect position to like tank and like start over and like get good draft picks and like get good players. But no, they went with like the route of like, yeah, let's try to win games.
Yeah,
you ain't going anywhere.
So you got.
I'm gonna take the Saints.
You got the Saints. Okay. Who you got, Morty?
I'll take the Saints as well.
All right. Let's move on to the afternoon games. We got the Eagles-Giants. Morty, it's a big game for the Eagles. I'm disappointed. I'm not going to lie. I thought they would lock it up a couple weeks ago. But the Cowboys game, I sort of saw coming. Gardner Minshew was in there. He played decently. He played pretty well, probably above average, above expectations that game. Went back and forth. Some late game heroics over there by the Cowboys sort of pulled that off. But last week I didn't see coming. I mean, I thought they would wipe the floor with the Saints. I hope Hurts plays this week. I hope that's the case. If he does, then they'll pull this off. There's too much at stake for the Eagles. There's nothing at stake for the Giants. They're locked into that 6th seed. As much as they would love to play spoiler against their division foes, I'm still going to have to go with the Eagles here, Meisty.
Well, here's the thing. The Giants are going to win this football game. That's the bottom line. It's going to be a heartbreaking situation for the Eagles, but they're really going to lose this game.
Daniel Jones is playing?
I don't know. I don't care.
No, I think that the Eagles have a 14-point line. It means the Giants probably aren't putting out the stars.
Tyler Heineke get hurt? Did Taylor Heineke?
Don't even get me started on the. We'll get to the Commanders in a second. But anyway,
I know, because I'm gonna flip us into it real quick, because we already know Morty's pick here, so we don't have to ask him. But he thumbs up me. But because I'll say it like this. I think here's really what's gonna happen. This is the most classic Cowboys thing in the world. The Giants are gonna win, and they're gonna lose, and the Eagles are still gonna get the 1 seed after all that.
That would be
All I
funny.
did is beat the Commandees, but no, you're gonna lose to Sam Howell.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. I just don't see that happening. I don't see it losing to Sam Howell. Tyrod Taylor's the backup, and he didn't clear concussion protocol, I think, or something
But where's
like that.
Taylor Heineke?
Heineke's on the Commanders, man.
Oh, you're talking about the Giants. Oh, you're talking about
Eagles,
Giants.
Giants. Yeah,
Yeah,
the Giants.
I'm talking about because it's all in the division. I'm talking about both games happening at the same time.
This game means nothing for the Giants. Why would you risk? You're locked into the 6th seed as much as you want to play spoiler. I mean, the truth is, let me calm my horses a little here, because if you recall, I was pretty young at the time. 2007, Giants Patriots Week 17, last week of the season. The Giants had absolutely nothing to play for because they were locked into the 5th seed or whatever seed it was, except to ruin the Patriots' undefeated season. I don't know if you remember that. The Patriots were 15-0, and it was the last week's season. The Giants were locked into their seed, and Strahan played, and Eli played, and all the starters played, and they nearly beat them. They lost by 3. It was a very competitive game till the end. So they played all the starters. But that was with what's his name, with Coughlin. So Coughlin had that mentality. Coughlin had the mentality. We're playing. We play to win the game. I don't care if the game means anything statistically. We play to win football games. And the players were not happy about it, by the way. Strahan was not happy about it. He's like, why are we playing this game? But they played it. They played well. They played their hearts out. And they almost ruined the Patriots' undefeated season, although they did it later anyway. So maybe Daboll will have that same mentality. I don't know. Maybe he'll play the starters. So we'll see. But I'm not banking on it. So I'm going with the Eagles.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I hear that. Okay, so I'm gonna. Daniel Jones is out. I'm gonna join you with taking the Eagles. And hey, the NFC, you know, East just put 3 teams in the playoffs this year. Aki. That's pretty nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, they almost had 4, Meisty.
Yeah,
The Commanders won last week. Could have had 4.
Yeah, but they had to play Carson Wentz because I'm not. I don't.
Yeah, let's get to that in a second when we talk about the Cowboys. You're right. We need to discuss that. Marty, who you got? I'm assuming you got the Eagles here.
Eagles all day.
Yeah.
I told you have to ask him. It was the Giants. Come on, you knew that he was gonna pick the Giants. Come on.
Okay, let's get to it since you mentioned it. Cowboys Commanders. Now, for the Cowboys, what's at stake? Cowboys need to win. Eagles and Niners lost, and they get the 1 seed. If they win and just the Eagles lose, they get the 2 seed. If they win and nobody loses, they stay right where they are. So if they lose, they stay where they are too. So the game could potentially mean something for the Cowboys. I don't know if they'll be scoreboard watching because the Eagles and Niners are playing at the same time as them. So maybe they'll see what happens at halftime. Teams like to say they don't scoreboard watch. I feel like they do because I've seen teams like take starters out at halftime or something when the other games are blowouts. So I feel like that is a thing. The Cowboys sort of need a lot of help here to get the 1 seed. But I'm still going to go with the Cowboys. I'm assuming that they'll start Prescott and try to win this game, So
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the Cowboys, I think.
Yeah, I'm gonna join with the Cowboys here. I mean, it'd be the most classic thing if the Giants won and the Commanders won, and like the Cowboys are like, dude, we just had the 1 seed in our hands.
That's
it would be the greatest thing in my life. I would be so happy. It'd be so happy.
Yeah,
It'd
agreed.
be as happy as the Steelers making the playoffs.
By the way, back to your other thing. Why they're starting Carson Wentz? I didn't understand that. Like, Heineke has not been playing great. Don't get me wrong. But there's one thing that Heineke does that Carson Wentz does not do. He gives his playmakers a chance to make a play. It's very simple. He chucks the ball up. You got guys like Terry McLaurin. You got guys like Curtis Samuel. They got guys like Jahan Dotson. You have playmakers like that. Let them make plays. That's all you could do as a quarterback. You have so many good playmakers on that team. They have a good roster there built in Washington. The only problem is the quarterback. Heineke chucks the ball down the field. Carson Wentz does not take any chances. He's very conservative. When he does chuck the ball down the field, 3 times, 3 interceptions, 3 horrible reads, 3 horrible throws. He looked awful, Meisty, against the Browns. Awful. It was a terrible game. This might be Carson Wentz's worst year of his career. That's saying a lot. We've seen really bad versions of Carson Wentz. This was terrible. Why they made this decision, I'm not sure. Frustrating, because I thought the Commanders could have had a chance here to make the playoffs. But anyway, I'm going with the Cowboys.
The reason my theory here is that Ron Rivera is looking for a way out of the team, and he's looking to be fired so he can go back to coaching Carolina. In a time where Carolina is looking on the up. It's a great time to be coaching them, and they're probably going to be looking for a coach next year. So I wouldn't be shocked if that was a situation. But at the same time here, Carson Wentz, it's awful, man. And if you went around, the Commanders and took a survey of the players, and who would the offense for sure? Who would you rather start? I'd be shocked if the answer wasn't Taylor Heineke. We love watching Taylor Heineke play.
He's fun to watch.
It's very fun to watch. In my opinion, the NFL has already been doing enough investigation into the team. I continue to investigate it because it's ridiculous not to play. The guy, at the end of the day, brought you to a point to an opportunity to make the playoffs. And then as soon as that happened, you're like, oh, if we win, we're in? Nah. Bring back Carson Wentz. What are we doing? Like,
I know.
This might be the worst tank attempt in NFL history. Because they're not even like that bad. They have 7 wins. You're not going to get a great draft pick either way, but like, whatever.
Agreed. Who you got, Morty? Cowboys against the Commanders.
Give me the commies here. Nothing more I'd like to do is watch the Cowboys lose.
Even though it's not a particularly meaningful game for them, most likely, but I guess it's still nice to see them lose for you. So I hear that. No matter what the stakes are, right? it could be 2-14, whatever it is. Okay, Rams. Actually, let's do this first. Cardinals Niners, because this is a game that actually has ramifications. Actually, both of them do technically. Cardinals Niners. For this one, again, Niners win, Eagles lose. They got the driver's seat for that number 1 seed, so they still got a chance here. We'll talk about this more as we get into the playoffs. How realistic we think the Niners have of making a deep playoff run with a guy like Brock Purdy here. I think the Niners take care of business here. Cardinals just an absolute disaster. Great discussion for the offseason. What happened, Meisty? I mean, what the heck? What happened? They lost Nuke Hopkins for the first 6 weeks of the season. And he came back and sort of their offense started to see some sort of signs of life. But then Kyler Murray got injured. And then Kyler Murray just didn't play well when he was on the field. And the defense just looked horrible. And it's just the running game is just a lot worse and worse with Connor and whoever they're putting out there. Chase Edmonds. I mean, it's been bad, Meisty. It's been a really bad season for the Cardinals. I'm sure they're glad it's going to be over soon. They'll take the high pick. I'm going with the Niners here, Meisty.
Yeah, if you think the Niners are going to lose this game in a spot where they can potentially get the second seed, right? So, I'm going to take San Francisco here for sure. Yeah, it's very frustrating to see what happened with the Cardinals this year. They had a lot of opportunity. I mean, we were making fun of them a little bit because they went and got Hollywood in this big deal for them, and it didn't really work out for them. But I don't know. Is Kyler Murray the problem? Is Cliff Kingsbury? Somebody has to go. Something has to change in the organization. It's definitely not helping them that they're losing J.J. Watt. Not that he makes much of a difference to them, but regardless, something has to change on that offense and the coaching staff somewhere. But we'll talk about that in the offseason. But I'll take the 49ers here, and they'll lock up the 2 seed.
Who you got, Morty? Niners, Cards.
You got to go Niners here. I don't see how they lose this game.
Agreed. And this game has ramifications for the last wild card, Rams at Seahawks. If the Seahawks win again, the scenario is very simple. Seahawks win, Packers lose, Seahawks are in. However, Meisty, if the Seahawks lose, then the Lions and Packers Sunday Night Football are playing a playing game, which is why I'm picking Baker Mayfield and the Los Angeles Rams. Because you don't think Baker Mayfield's going to slow down here in Week 18, right? Baker Mayfield's going to play his heart out, just like he has the last few games. It doesn't matter whether the Rams want a better pick technically. First of all, the pick's not even there, so they don't even care. It goes to the Lions, right? So they're going to want to win this game and spoil it for the Seahawks, very much so. Division rival. Baker's going to come out there firing. He's going to be playing. I think he's going to have a good game. He's been playing pretty well, much better than he played in Carolina for sure. I'm liking a Rams upset here for 2 reasons. Number one, just because I think Baker's got a shot against anyone. Number 2, because it'd be cool. It'd be cool to have Lions, Packers, Sunday Night Football for the playoffs. I just want that scenario. So because I want it, I will pick it. Rams win this game and knock the Seahawks out.
You know what's the craziest thing though?
What's that?
According to my wrong, but according to my predictions, on week 18, the Rams can win and still have the same draft pick. I think I might be wrong. The only other team that comes, I think, would be the Raiders. Between them and the Raiders with 6 wins, but I Carolina also, but I do like Baker Mayfield in the Rams uniform. I wonder what they'll do in the offseason, and they might just keep him around for like if Stafford gets hurt, when he gets hurt, type of thing, or if Stafford decides that he's not coming back. So if I was the Rams, but I think the Rams take the upset here. Seattle has just looked awful down the stretch of the season. So
Agreed. Who you got, Morty?
Give me the Seahawks here.
Yeah, I mean, Seahawks would be the logical thing. Seahawks are favored by 6.5. You said they looked awful down the stretch. You might say, I don't look awful. Geno Smith's been fine. I mean, he started off the year really hot, obviously. He has cooled down. He's been making big throws, but sort of leveled off to old Geno Smith a little. He's still playing pretty well. I mean, he's still an upper echelon quarterback in NFC right now, you know? And it'll still be, I think it'll still be pretty exciting to see him in the playoffs, but, you know, like we're talking about. Lions, Packers, which we'll get to right now. I'm sorry I went out of order. We'll do the Saturday games after this. But Lions, Packers, Sunday Night Football, tons on the line. Seahawks lose, everything's on the line. Seahawks win, still chance for Aaron Rodgers to get into the playoffs. And even if it means nothing for the Lions are exciting to watch, Meisty. They're an exciting team to watch. They're not benching Jared Goff. They won't even know if they're eliminated till 2 minutes before the game. So they're not benching Jared Goff. They're not benching Amon St. Brown. They're not benching anyone. This will be a fun back-and-forth game. Very much looking forward to it. I like the NFL's decision to put this Sunday night, regardless of the Seahawks status. And I'm going with the Packers just because, you know, Aaron Rodgers seems to be on a mission right now to somehow getting Christian Watson involved, getting Romeo Doubs involved, Allen Lazard. All of a sudden, these receivers in the beginning of the season were like, where are all the receivers in the Packers? They have none. Now, all of a sudden, coming to life. Now, all of a sudden, he's maybe developing a rapport with them over the course of the season. Maybe it just took time to develop that, Meisty. Maybe that's all it was. I don't know. I'm not saying the Packers are completely fixed, but at the same time, defense is starting to come together as we thought they would. Jair Alexander playing like that number one shutdown corner I thought he would at the beginning of the season. Give me the Packers.
Lions don't play great on the road. It's unfortunate because if they did, I'd really, really look forward to them in this game here. But no, I'm gonna take the Packers to win here. It's a sad season for my Detroit Lions. It's gonna come down to, but you know, this is it. This is how the Lions always do it. Some type of way to find a way to lose and not make the playoffs. But if this game comes down to like an Aaron Rodgers Hail Mary type of, you know, I will be so happy because just watch Aaron Rodgers against the Detroit Lions, just like good old times, drive down the field
for the playoffs,
touchdown to like what's his name that's back on the team nowadays? Whoever that guy is, it's back on the team. It's Jordy, whatever his name is. Who's the old dude that they just brought back?
Nelson?
Yeah, no, not Jordy Nelson. They brought back what's his name? I think he was 18 on the team. Anyway, yeah. You know what I'm talking about. The receiver.
Who?
I think he got hurt already.
Oh, it's D.D. West. No, did they sign D.D.? Oh, that was a while ago. They signed D.D. Yeah, I'm not sure. Anyway, they released Sammy Watkins. That's the Ravens picked him up.
Right. No, they had Randall Cobb. He's gonna find Randall Cobb.
Oh, Randall Cobb. Oh, yeah.
He's gonna find Randall Cobb, classic 2014 game winner. Anyway, yeah, it's. I would be very excited, like we said, if the Rams do pull off the upset. The implications of this game will just be insane.
Yeah, agreed. So, and also, by the way, it would be quite ironic if the Seahawks win, and then the Lions end up winning with nothing to play for. And then neither of the teams playing last game of the season are even in the playoffs.
But you know what? The Lions would love to play spoiler to Aaron Rodgers after all those games.
Exactly. That's why I think
Detroit. That's why I think Detroit is coming in ready. Like they will be playing how like you see college football play, where like they're just risking it all. Go, go. Especially if Seattle wins. Especially if Seattle wins, you'll see the Lions. Dan Campbell out there just throwing he'll just be throwing Hail Marys like first and 10 Hail Mary.
Yeah, I agree. I think it would be entertaining. He'll be entertaining either way, but it would just be. I'm going to be rooting. Nothing against the Seahawks. I respect them. They've done a great job this year. Pete Carroll's a fantastic coach. Does a great job with that team. But I'm just rooting against the Seahawks this week so that we can see a Lions-Packers playing game. That's it. It's just the playoffs start a week early, right? That's pretty much what it is. So that'll be pretty cool. Who you got here, Morty? Sunday Night Football.
Sunday Night Football. Who's the underdog?
Probably the Lions, I'm assuming, right?
Lions by like 5 or 6.
Packers by 4.5. Oh, close call.
I'll take the Lions here. I'll take the Lions. They've been, they're trending up. Aaron Rodgers is kind of like their kryptonite, but I think this is gonna be a good test for them. And who doesn't like rooting for the Lions?
No, fair. Definitely, Lions are a cute story, as are the Jaguars, which we'll get to in a second as well. So we have to circle back to Saturday games because I missed them because the whole thing on my schedule is. So let's go back to the Saturday games, doubleheader on Saturday. First game is the Chiefs at Raiders, which again is complicated because, again, let's just assume right now, for argument's sake, that the Bengals-Bills game is never played. It's canceled, okay? I don't know if that's going to happen, just assuming. Chiefs win, they get the bye. Very simple for them, Meisty. So there's a big game for them, right? Because if the game happened, they would need to rely on a Bills loss. Now, they win, they get the bye. They lose, they open up the door for the Bills. So, big game for the Chiefs. Again, Jared Stidham coming in there, playing great last week, Meisty. Jared Stidham was must-see TV last week. But veteran quarterbacks have random great games like this. It just happens. I'm not expecting it twice in a row. Must win for the Chiefs. Competitive game against the Broncos last week. Competitive game against the Broncos a few weeks ago. But division games are always tough. I'm going with the Chiefs.
So you mentioned it a bit, and this is something I wanted to mention earlier, but I'm going to mention it now. If there's a Week 19 Bills-Bengals game, and this is all we can do is speculate as sports fans. This is what we do. If and that would mean that everyone else gets a bye, right? So let's say we know this going into Sunday's game. If you're the Bucks, and if you're a team that you would play your guys because you don't want 2 weeks off in a row before going to play before a playoff game. That's a lot of rust. You're asking, all right, that's a lot to take off. To getting a bye, I'm sure these NFL players would be glad. Don't get me wrong, but are you going to really sit Brady in Week 18 and then or sit? I don't know which teams are any team that's in a scenario where like, oh, we can just sit. But what are you going to sit for? Let's say the Cowboys, the Niners, the Giants, even, right? Whoever it is, whoever's in that scenario, to sit a player 2 weeks in a row would hurt them. So it's an interesting addition to the entire craziness of Week 18 and the situation that we're in. This adds to it of, can you sit to a player? Are you really going to sit players 2 weeks in a row? But like going back to it, I think the Chiefs win this game. They lock in the 1 seed, right? If the Chiefs win, they locked in regardless of everything.
No, if the Bills win the last 2 games,
right? The Bills. Okay, fine. So I think the Chiefs win, and then we'll have to just go from there and see what happens. I mean, this is. Excuse me.
There's never been anything like it. There's never been anything like it, and
it's not something you can talk about. It's not something you want to talk about. But this is our job. But this is we'll see what happens. I mean, if the Raiders win, are the Bills a win in it? Yeah. So if the Raiders win, Saturday, we could. So anyway, I'm gonna take the Chiefs to win here. Maybe even a tie. I haven't taken a tie yet this year.
Right. You're right. If the Raiders, well, I haven't either. Good point. If the Raiders win, then it complicates things very much because then the Bills need, if they win the last 2, if the Raiders win and the Bills lose one of the last 2, they still get the bye unless they lose against the Bengals, in which case the Bengals would get the bye.
But if they call it now, if they call it a no contest, right? Like call last on Monday night a no contest.
Okay, if that's the case, then the Raiders winning would only impact the Bills. Bills win, and Chiefs lose. Bills get the bye. Bills lose. Chiefs-Raiders game is irrelevant.
Correct. Okay.
That's what it comes down to.
We're back to that point of anything can happen. Hopefully going into Sunday we know something.
Yeah.
Hopefully only good news.
Yeah. No. It's right now. It's just a question mark. It's a big question mark. Nobody really knows what's going on here. So, Morty, who you got here? Raiders, Chiefs.
I say Chiefs in a close game.
Okay, like it. Titans, Jags, last game of the season. I might as well pick my tie here. I mean, I haven't picked a tie the entire season. No, but it's not going to be a tie because the Titans need a win. So it's either win or lose, right? So I'm going to go with the Jaguars just because who the Titans putting out there? Josh Dobbs. I think they already announced they're going to put out Josh Dobbs there next week. Offense looked a little better with Dobbs, no question, against the Cowboys, but it's going to be enough Meisty. They're so one-dimensional. They've been one-dimensional the whole season, and it works when you have Derrick Henry to some extent. But when you have Tannehill in there, and Tannehill was playing well. Tannehill played solid this year. I mean, he's probably a top 10 to 15 quarterback in football. You can win games with a great running game and a serviceable quarterback like Tannehill under center. Even without receivers, you were able to win a few games. But when you take Tannehill out of there and you put Malik Willis in there, who hasn't been playing particularly well this year, or Josh Dobbs, the Jaguars are a team on the upward scale, so I'm going with the Jags here. But it would be a big upset, I would say, if the Titans win, because I don't think many people expect the Titans to win at this point.
I'm just gonna say it like this. First of all, I in my predictions, I mean, I would love to see the Jaguars in the playoffs. I think the Titans are gonna somehow pull off a win. There's just too many losses in a row in a spot where they can come in here and get this win and like ruin Jacksonville's, young hopes. But regardless of that, I think that it really comes down to stopping Derrick Henry for Jacksonville. I also think that no NFL fan cares to see the Titans in the playoffs. So I think the Jaguars would be a lot more exciting in the playoffs. That's another reason why I want them there. But this game not being Sunday night, and that they never have Saturday Night Football in Week 18, right? Do they usually?
Last year they just started the custom. Just last year.
I don't like it. I liked when everything was like in soccer, the way they do it on the last game of the season. Everyone kicks off at the exact same time across the whole. Unless there's a game that winner takes this, because unless there's a game where winner takes top seed, then they do it like winner or loser, right? But normally if it's just random teams and everyone plays across the board. So I would really like that in the NFL, but I am going to take the Titans to win here.
By the way, I just realized, like you said, Meisty, I haven't picked a tie the whole year. I'm going with the Saints Panthers for my tie. Why the heck not?
You know what?
Really got ready for this game. Titans Jags, big game.
Give me Texans Colts tie. Why?
No, because they already tied. I was thinking that, but they already tied. 2 ties in 1 year.
What? Yes.
Double tie.
They both tied.
Yes.
That was the game that tied. Like the Texans against the Colts.
Again.
Yeah,
That
what?
would be crazy.
Again.
Okay, I'll give you the tie.
Understand. Both these teams want to lose. Right? We're
Both
talking
the Panthers and Saints should at least, but you're right. They're not going to play for.
No, because the Saints are stupid.
The Saints are stupid, right?
The Bears also want to lose, and the Vikings also want to lose, but the Bears are starting Nathan Peterman, so they're going to lose.
That's why I'm not touching that one. What do you got this big game Saturday night for the division, Morty? Jags, Titans.
I was gonna pick the Jags, and then you said nobody expects the Titans to win, and that's kind of when they do like to win.
Yeah.
Remember the Titans, but I'm gonna go with the Jags anyways.
6-point underdogs. They're 6-point underdogs, Titans. In Jacksonville.
That's crazy.
Yeah, you would never think, right? If I would have told you Jags, Titans for the division last week and the Jags would be 6-point favorites, you'd be like, what world are we living in? But there's been a lot of crazy stuff this year. Like, another crazy what if is, if I would tell you in Week 17 the Bucs and Panthers are essentially playing for the division, you'd be like, no. You must have fast-forwarded 10 years when Tom Brady's not playing anymore, just to be safe, 10 years, okay? Like, 56, he can't be playing anymore. I might eat my words by saying that, but I can't imagine 56. I think I'm safe at 56 years old, got a couple white hairs. He probably won't have white hairs, though. He takes care of his hair, so maybe he won't have white hairs. But you know what I'm saying. Not literally, but figuratively, have a couple white hairs. So, daddy time catching up there. Would you think this would be Tom Brady's last year? I don't know. We're done predicting that.
For Danny Dimes.
There's a lot of teams that need quarterbacks, Rocky.
I think the team that needs a quarterback the most is the Ravens. I'm just going to say
Tom Brady on the Ravens?
Tom Brady's not playing for anyone else but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The only other team Tom Brady might ever play for again would be the Patriots. Would not be the craziest thing. They need a quarterback.
Can you imagine like a reunite after 3 years and he goes back to New England with Bill Belichick? Oh my gosh, that'd be nuts. Like I want to Super Bowl to go back and win another one with them.
I think Morty heard this on the same podcast I did. The guy was like, only 6 quarterbacks in NFL history over 40 years old threw for 400 plus yards, and it's like Brady, Favre, Manning, Brady, and it's like, and then he went on to follow. He was like, Brady should just play till he's 50, throw 1 yard, and just be like, I lead the league in yards thrown after the age of 50.
Exactly. I'm curious where he ranks this year, actually, amongst.
He put up another season.
He's been good this year. I mean, he's 7th in the league according to PFF in offensive grade. So I mean, that's a pretty respectable grade over there.
Oh, Rocky, we all know Brady struggled, right? But if you look at the second half of the season, Brady has been playing like a top 7 quarterback, a top 10, top 5 quarterback in the league.
But Brady's been playing fine this year. Granted, not as well as last year, right? But he's still the arm strength is still there.
Right?
Like,
It was the offensive line playing bad.
He has the second to most big time throws in the league this year, only behind Josh Allen. Like he has more big time throws this year than Patrick Mahomes, Meisty. Like he has plenty of big playability in him this year, and it's not like
Rocky, hold on. Tom Brady found himself in a lot of situations this year where big plays were needed.
Gino's, but that does not always translate to big plays.
Correct, but you're talking about Tom Brady. You're talking about Tom Brady. You're talking about someone.
That's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying. He's still Tom Brady to some extent. He's still playing at a high level. Let's put it like this: on throws 20 yards or more down the field this year, he has 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, a passing grade of 95.1. Only 1 turnover-worthy play on throw 20 yards or more. 24 big-time throws, 1 turnover-worthy play, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, 745 yards. That is fantastic. That is fantastic. Those are great numbers. So even throws down the field, he's playing really well.
I'm just going to say, when you throw the ball up in the air and the guy named Mike Evans is going up to catch it, it's never putting the ball in harm's way.
No, but Brady's had that knack. He's not a guy that throws the ball.
Brady's never put the ball in harm's way. Always. He's always been a guy that tries not to put the ball in harm's way.
And the upside throws are still there. So my point in this whole thing is that he's been playing really well this year, but just not as well as we're used to seeing him play, number one. And number two, everything around has been falling apart. The defense has not been playing up to par. We thought they were supposed to have one of the best rosters in football. The defense has not been playing up to par. So for some reason, that offense has been out of sync, whether it's been Chris Godwin injured on the field, Evans injured on the field, but not being able definitely the absence of Gronk and that big weapon in the middle field has hurt them, has hurt the sort of flow of the offense. But at the same time, I guess they've gotten it together when they needed to, and they're lucky here. So do we think the Bucs will make a playoff run? We'll discuss that next week in the playoff. I mean, if there's a playoff preview next week, Meisty, might be a Week 19 preview. I don't even know. It's a weird time in the NFL. It's a weird time.
But let's talk something real quick, right? As pretty much, almost pretty guaranteed, right? We're going to see Dallas play the Bucs in the wild card weekend. Hopefully, that's pretty much the most likely the matchup.
Cool. That's cool.
And can the Cowboys get past Brady? Question mark. That will probably be. Let me think. If you turn on any sports network, if that during Wild Card Weekend, that will be what was talked about. It would be like it won't even say the Bucs versus Cowboys. It's literally just going to say Brady versus Cowboys, not Bucs. Brady versus.
I mean, there will be a couple potential storylines, which we'll discuss obviously once everything unfolds. We get more of a clear picture of what the matchups will be. We could have potential Bengals-Ravens back-to-back games, right? That's a very, very possible scenario to happen, Meisty. So we could have something interesting. We could have the Bengals playing against the Chargers. We could have the Packers against the Niners rematch. Very likely for that to happen. Very likely. I mean, we could have the Vikings-Packers rematch. There's a lot of interesting things that could happen here. All of a sudden, the NFC has become very intriguing. It was sort of like the AFC was the intriguing part. Now the NFC's can become quite intriguing, Meisty. So going to be lots to figure out here down the line. Obviously, we got the question mark with the Bengals-Bills game, so I don't know, man. We'll figure it all out next week. Got anything else you want to bring up before we head out of here?
No.
All right. So pending that Bengals-Bills game, we'll see you next week, I guess. Playoff preview. We don't know what, but either way, we'll see you then. Thank you for joining us. Enjoy Week 18. Enjoy football as much as you can, and we'll see you later.